this group? What would you like to
It was quite an interesting journey. I know Yosha, one of the founders of Planeteer. Known him for many, many years, and he actually sent me an invite to the first Region OS session on WhatsApp, and I saw it and then completely missed it.
Yeah.
And then I had a conversation with Tibet, the founder of Hilo.
Yes.
And then Tibet sent me all the links to the second session. And so I said, okay, yeah, let me track this. And but I have a lot on my plate, so I didn't really put a lot of attention on it. And then Andrew, who was coordinating this.
Okay, yeah.
Andrew, something, I don't know which way around. He registered for 4 of our 11 or something fundraising summits for the Oslo project.
Oh yeah.
And so I got curious, and I thought, okay, well, then I guess I have to join that meeting.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So I came in without much prior knowledge. I allowed myself to just experience it, whatever it was. I think it's a definitely a worthy effort. I think it's one of many around the globe that are happening at the same time, simultaneously, around very, very similar goals and procedures, etc. So I think it's an interesting thing to do. And I think it is important to create these islands of coherence and mutual support and empowerment, even if it's just emotional and maybe on a idealistic level, like what's happening there.
Yeah, totally. Maybe if you want, please share some projects you're currently involved in, or directions of thought that are inspiring you and you're pouring your energy in.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just coming out of a phase of building a whole bunch of non-profit activities over the last couple of years. Africa, global sense making, German political landscape, materials, sciences, things like that.
Right.
Most of which still exist, and some are even thriving. But me and many other people in the field discovered that even with our best intentions, we don't really move the needle on a systemic level. So a couple of my deepest collaborators and friends and I got together to think about how can we find a way to finally create something that is appropriate in scale to the appropriate and proportional in scale to the challenge. Something that we think of the kind of like the inverse Manhattan Project for the 21st century. Because in the 40s, the world was challenged by the potential of Hitler being the first with a nuclear weapon, which have changed the course of history dramatically, probably.
Yeah.
And so the US put together $34 billion in today's money to orchestrate 120,000 people to be the first at that game. Whether that ultimately turned into something good or not, we can debate, but the level, the appropriate proportional level of response, that's what we're after, right? So now we're faced with let's say 10x of threats compared to Hitler with a nuclear weapon globally. So we would say, okay, let's pull together 400 billion instead.
Okay.
So now the question is, where are 400 billion that are actually addressable? Right? And we found a way to do that, with a high probability liberate 400 billion in the next 3-4 years.
Okay.
To then use that money to help all of the tens of thousands under-recognized and under-resourced building blocks for a life-serving civilization and bring them into coherence and into contact with where they are needed. I want to just give a little picture for this to make this more concrete. What is it that we think about when we think about this? So imagine you're building a chain of supermarkets, but nobody has given you roads. You're bound to fail, right? Maybe your customers will come by foot or by bike, but your delivery trucks won't make it. Right? So you are reliant on the public free infrastructure called road.
Unless you have drones.
Unless you have drones, but you need this kind of infrastructure. It's true. Yeah, you can leapfrog some of that stuff. Correct. Other example, you're building. Let's just use this as an example. You're building Facebook, but nobody has given you the internet. It's a nice thing to do on your computer, but what the heck, right? It doesn't do anything without the internet. You need that piece of infrastructure.
Right.
And we think about the life-serving civilization in a very similar way. Right? We say there needs to be a commons infrastructure for everybody on the planet that acts along 3 axes. One, inner grounding. That's the part that I quickly said, 300,000 years versus 300 years, which is accessible through a whole plethora of psychotechnologies and others that is actually quite easy to get to, but also easy to take away when you enter the shit show again on Monday. So you need vector 2, which is collective coordination. Mm-hmm. So if you and I tell each other what actually a good life is about, and we do that with everybody around us, it will become a reinforcing reality for that group. And therefore, it will allow us to maintain that longer. Mm-hmm. So that's vector 2. Vector 3, though, is what if that collective also is needing to go back into the shit show on Monday to pay the rent? Then this will not be reinforced for very much, right? So we need to also have a pathway, a biophysical pathway of detachment from the financialized industrial complex, so that you can actually be that collective coordination body, detached but thriving, in order to empower individual, right? So these are the 3 vectors, and we see tens of thousands of organizations working on all of these. What would happen if they were coordinated and free for everybody?
Oh, wow. Great. So then again, those organizations would not be chasing profits and big partnerships and big VCs. They will be doing their job because they have the stability, and they will be coordinating and being aware of each other's directions and progress. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think this is quite similar to, I feel like the first wave of like collective ideas that we all shared, the collective dreams, were that, eco villages everywhere, back to the land movement. Now I feel like the second one on how to get there is what you're holding, and that's what you're just described. So that's like the movement of the financial resources towards these initiatives, including the infrastructural aspects of it, and not just hey, let's just buy land.
Yeah, but I want to be very clear. Financial resources is just an abstraction, right? What we actually need is people who can really dedicate themselves to the work without having to do anything else in order to have a good life, right? So that's what. So those people don't actually need money; they need food and a home and security and they need to be able to communicate and travel and do all of that. So that's the things we need. And we abstract it away with money, but the actual thing is the people doing the work.
Human resources.
Well, let's not call it resources. Let's call it humans doing the work.
I hear you. I hear you. I agree. So, how do you coordinate these incredibly ambitious and self-centered, probably individuals that you're willing to bring together? How do you make sure that they agree with each other, and how do you govern them?
Well, the core group that's working on this right now has been working together for many years. Great. In one shape or form. So yeah. there's deep trust, and most of the people in that group are more or less economically liberated from the shit show.
Nice.
So there's not a lot of pressure. Meaning we have a lot of liberty in the biophysical, in the intellectual, in the emotional, etc. for all of us. That's the easy part. The interesting part begins when we actually start coordinating many organizations. And there we are in the beginning of partnerships with existing collaborative structures of organizations that have already found governance principles that are tested in real world scenarios, with money flowing through them, so to make them, to be sure that they're not hijackable by dark triad personality types, etc. So that's what we're doing. We're trying not to reinvent any wheels here. All we're trying to do is to create more activation, right, to get the flywheel moving.
Yeah.
By reusing existing solutions.
Clear. Okay, and the last question. We are in 2035, so 10 years ahead. And from that perspective, what you're proud of, what you've been able to accomplish, what do you see in humanity shifted? Dream state. You know, we're in the best case scenario. What do you see and you wish for humanity for the next 10 years?
Okay, okay, best case scenario. I see that the frontline nations, that is to say, the countries in the global south mostly, that are already experiencing the brunt of the ecosystemic total collapse of the what we call the polar crisis, have embraced a life-serving civilization building block stack, infrastructure stack, and have started completely logging out of the current economic paradigm, and shown the world that true deep thrivability is possible, which in the best case scenario then leaked into the global north, where people started quickly adopting that just before they started becoming really nasty and starting something like World War III.
And for the next 10 years after that?
The next 10 years after that, well, I would say that there's a deepening, hopefully, of all of that, but also there will be a lot of fallout of the ongoing ecosystemic collapse that will have to be dealt with. Right? So that's, I don't know. I don't know where that hope goes, to be honest. I know I'll be somewhere on an ocean surfing and making love with my woman and playing with the kids. That's what I know.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today. This was really effective. We did a great job, I think. And
thank you so much for guiding us through this. And
let's keep going. Let's keep building these blocks.
We do.
All right. Big love. Have an amazing rest of your day.
See you. Love to you too. Thank you.